That perfectly seared steak on your plate might hide secrets that could turn your stomach faster than a rare cut left in the sun. 93% of diners trust restaurant steaks without question, but former employees, health inspectors, and lab tests tell a different story about America's most popular steakhouses. You're about to discover why that $28 ribeye might cost you more than money, and why even upscale chains are serving you something that barely qualifies as the beef you ordered. Let's start with Australia's most famous export to American dining, where the steaks aren't nearly as fresh as the accent suggests. Outback Steakhouse built its reputation on that sizzling plate presentation and the promise of authentic grilled flavor. But 70% of their steaks arrive at restaurants already cooked and frozen, sitting in vacuum-sealed bags for weeks before they ever see a grill. Former kitchen staff from locations across Texas and Florida have confirmed that what you hear sizzling isn't your steak cooking, it's just the reheating process. The grill marks you see? They're often fake. Multiple former cooks have shared videos showing heated metal stamps pressed onto pre-cooked steaks to create those perfect crosshatch patterns. One employee from a Phoenix location said they were trained to add these artificial marks because customers expect to see grill lines even if the meat was never actually grilled fresh. Temperature logs from health inspections in 23 states reveal steaks sitting in the danger zone between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit for hours during busy shifts. That's prime breeding ground for bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella. A former manager in Michigan admitted that during weekend rushes, proper temperature monitoring was more of a suggestion than a rule. Even their famous bloomin' onion suffers from corner cutting. The oil used for frying often goes unchanged for 3 to 4 days, creating that slightly rancid aftertaste many customers notice but can't quite identify. Health inspectors in Georgia found oil so old it had turned dark brown and left a film on the fryer walls. But frozen steaks are nothing compared to what's happening at our next chain, where the meat itself is questionable. When you question the meat quality at Applebee's, you're asking the right questions. Their steaks arrive pre-injected with sodium phosphate and enzyme tenderizers, chemicals that break down muscle fibers and add artificial moisture. What you're tasting isn't natural beef flavor, it's a chemical cocktail designed to make cheap cuts seem premium. A former district manager from Ohio put it bluntly, "We honestly don't know what cut of beef we're actually serving most nights. The suppliers send us whatever they have, pump it full of tenderizers, and we slap a fancy name on the menu." Health department records show Applebee's locations receive mystery meat shipments labeled only as beef product, with no specific cut identification. The kitchen sanitation issues make the questionable meat even more concerning. In 2023, health inspections at 47 Applebee's locations across 6 states found kitchen surfaces testing positive for E. coli bacteria. One inspector in Nevada noted that prep counters, cutting boards, and even grill surfaces showed dangerous contamination levels. Former employees have revealed that grill cleaning gets skipped entirely during busy Friday and Saturday nights. A cook from a Denver location shared that managers would say, "Just scrape it and keep going," when grills accumulated charred residue and grease buildup. This creates cross-contamination between raw and cooked foods, turning every meal into a potential health risk. The chain's focus on speed over safety means corners get cut where you can't see them. Temperature logs are often falsified, and hand-washing requirements become suggestions when the dinner rush hits. At least Applebee's attempts to cook their steaks, unlike the next restaurant where microwaves do most of the work. TGI Fridays has turned microwave cooking into an art form, and not the kind you want creating your dinner. Their steaks get partially cooked in industrial microwaves for speed, then quickly seared on grills just long enough to add those appealing grill marks. The result? Meat that's been nuked from the inside out, losing most of its nutritional value and developing that distinctive rubbery texture. A former server from a Dallas location revealed the shocking reality. Steaks sit under heat lamps for 2+ hours during dinner rush. By the time they reach your table, they've been reheated so many times they're basically beef jerky with sauce. Health department temperature logs from 31 locations show steaks held at unsafe temperatures between 100 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods. Even their signature Jack Daniel's sauce is a fraud. Laboratory analysis shows it contains 0 actual whiskey, just artificial flavoring designed to mimic that familiar taste. You're paying premium prices for synthetic chemicals that smell like bourbon but deliver none of the authenticity you expect. The kitchen chaos gets worse when you consider their staffing situation. TGI Fridays experiences 180% annual turnover in kitchen positions, meaning most cooks have less than 7 months of experience. A former kitchen manager in Atlanta said new hires often work solo after just 2 days of training, leading to dangerous food handling, mistakes, and inconsistent cooking temperatures. These undertrained staff members are responsible for timing multiple microwaves, managing heat lamps, and operating grills simultaneously during peak hours when mistakes become inevitable. The microwave situation is concerning, but the next chain has an even more disturbing approach to steak preparation. Longhorn Steakhouse promotes their aged steaks as premium dining, but their aging process involves chemical preservation solutions, not traditional dry aging. Those steaks spend weeks submerged in sodium chloride and phosphate baths that artificially tenderize the meat while extending shelf life far beyond what's natural or healthy. The deception goes deeper with water injection practices that increase steak weight by 15 to 20%. You're literally paying steak prices for water and preservatives pumped into cheap cuts of beef. A former butcher from a Tennessee distribution center revealed that steaks arrive in vacuum-sealed, wet aging bags filled with chemical additives designed to mimic the flavor development of genuine aging. What you taste isn't the rich, concentrated beef flavor that comes from proper dry aging. It's diluted meat mixed with artificial enhancers. Laboratory analysis of Longhorn steaks shows significantly lower protein density and higher sodium content compared to naturally aged beef from independent steakhouses. The kitchen execution makes these problems worse. Internal quality control reports show grill temperatures varying by 40 to 60 degrees across cooking surfaces, leading to 40% of steaks being overcooked on the first attempt. Rather than starting fresh, cooks are instructed to re-fire these ruined steaks, cooking them again until they reach an acceptable appearance, while destroying any remaining nutritional value. Former grill cooks from locations in Ohio and North Carolina report being pressured to serve steaks that have been cooked multiple times, creating a texture one described as leather marinated in salt water. Water-injected steaks sound bad, but wait until you hear what the next restaurant considers prime beef. Texas Roadhouse advertises prime steaks that are actually select-grade beef with artificial marbling injected to create the appearance of premium meat. Food industry whistleblowers have confirmed that their suppliers use liquid fat injection systems to add fake marbling patterns, charging prime prices for meat that costs 60% less to source. The mechanical tenderizing process creates an even bigger problem. Those needle-like blades that pierce the meat to break down tough fibers also push surface bacteria deep into the steak's interior, where normal cooking temperatures can't reach. A study by the USDA found that mechanically tenderized steaks have 43 times higher risk of E. coli contamination compared to intact cuts. Even their famous peanut shells contribute to food safety issues. Those shells scattered across dining room floors harbor salmonella and other bacteria that get tracked into prep areas on employees' shoes. Health inspections at 26 Texas Roadhouse locations found dangerous levels of contamination on kitchen floors and prep surfaces linked directly to the peanut shell tradition. A former kitchen manager from a Virginia location revealed the most disturbing practice. We're told to serve steaks even if they smell off, as long as they pass the visual test after seasoning and grilling. Management says the spices and heat will mask any problems. Internal training documents show staff are instructed to use heavy seasoning to cover questionable meat odors. Quality control reports from multiple locations show 37% of steaks fail initial smell tests, but still get served to customers after aggressive seasoning and high heat cooking. Fake prime beef is troubling, but our next restaurant takes deception to a whole new level with their signature cuts. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse charges premium prices for standard select grade beef with shocking markups that would make your accountant weep. Internal cost analysis shows their $60 steaks cost the restaurant just $8, representing a 750% markup on meat that's no better quality than what you'd find at mid-tier chains. The signature, sizzling butter that makes such an impressive presentation frequently turns rancid from sitting at room temperature for hours. Former servers from locations in New York and California report that butter sits in warmers from morning prep until closing, developing that distinctive off flavor that many customers mistake for richness. Food safety protocols require butter to be refrigerated, but Ruth's Chris prioritizes the dramatic sizzle over food safety. A former executive chef from a Chicago location revealed that steaks are pre-seasoned up to 6 hours before service, breaking basic food safety protocols that require seasoning immediately before cooking. This practice allows bacteria to multiply on meat surfaces while salt draws out moisture, creating the perfect breeding ground for contamination. The extensive wine pairings aren't about enhancing flavor. They're strategically designed to mask poor meat quality while maximizing profit margins. Internal training documents show servers are coached to recommend specific wines that cover the metallic taste and artificial flavoring in lower-grade beef. Average wine markups reach 400%, turning a disappointing steak dinner into a financial disaster. Quality audits from corporate headquarters show 42% of steaks fail internal taste tests, yet they're still served to unsuspecting customers paying luxury prices. High prices don't guarantee quality, as proven by the next upscale chain with shocking behind-the-scenes practices. The Capitol Grill's dry-aged steaks are the culinary equivalent of a luxury car with a rebuilt engine, impressive on the surface, but fundamentally fraudulent underneath. Their so-called dry aging process actually involves weeks of chemical wet aging in sodium-heavy solutions that artificially break down meat fibers while adding preservatives that extend shelf life far beyond natural limits. Former kitchen staff have revealed that these steaks never see traditional dry aging chambers. Instead, they're stored in industrial vacuum bags filled with tenderizing chemicals that mimic the flavor concentration of genuine aging. Laboratory analysis shows Capitol Grill steaks contain 43% more sodium than naturally aged beef, explaining that distinctive metallic aftertaste many customers notice. The deception extends to their sales tactics. Servers receive specific bonuses for convincing customers to order particular lower-quality cuts disguised as premium options. Internal training documents show staff are coached to steer diners away from genuinely good steaks toward highly profitable inferior cuts using carefully scripted descriptions that sound impressive but mean nothing. A former sommelier from their Boston location admitted, "We're taught to pair wines that hide the metallic taste in the beef and cover up the chemical flavors from wet aging." The wine pairings aren't about enhancement, they're about masking problems. Kitchen cross-contamination adds another layer of risk. Health inspections at 14 Capitol Grill locations found the same cutting boards used for raw chicken and steak preparation without proper sanitizing between uses, creating dangerous pathways for salmonella and other bacteria. Even fine dining establishments cut corners, but the final restaurant on our list might shock you the most. Sizzler's buffet-style serving creates a perfect storm of cross-contamination that turns their steak offerings into a bacterial playground. Those steak strips at the salad bar sit unrefrigerated for 4+ hours during peak dining times, well beyond the 2-hour safety limit established by the FDA for perishable foods at room temperature. The same serving tongs get used for raw vegetables, cooked meats, and everything in between without washing or sanitizing between uses. Health department observations at 38 Sizzler locations documented customers and staff using identical utensils across multiple food stations, spreading bacteria from raw items directly onto ready-to-eat foods, including steak strips. A former employee from a California location revealed the most disturbing practice. "We're instructed to mix fresh steak with day-old meat to avoid waste. The older stuff goes on the bottom of the serving tray, covered by newer pieces on top. Customers have no idea they're eating meat that's been sitting out since yesterday." Temperature monitoring records from health inspections show steak items consistently held in the danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods. At these temperatures, harmful bacteria like E. coli and salmonella multiply rapidly, doubling every 20 minutes. Some locations recorded steak temperatures at a dangerous 75 degrees for over 6 hours during busy weekend shifts. The buffet setup means you're not just risking the quality of your own meal, you're gambling with the hygiene habits of every customer who handled those serving utensils before you. Food poisoning incidents at Sizzler locations have increased 28% since 2022, according to CDC tracking data. Black Angus Steakhouse built their entire brand identity on a lie that's hiding in plain sight on every menu. Their Black Angus beef doesn't come from purebred Angus cattle. It's sourced from mixed breed animals that may have distant Angus genetics, but lack the quality characteristics that make genuine Angus beef premium. USDA records show only 12% of their beef actually qualifies as certified Angus, despite the restaurant's name implying otherwise. The deception goes deeper with composite meat construction that turns scraps into fake steaks. Some of their popular cuts are meat glue composites, small pieces of beef pressed together with transglutaminase enzyme to create the appearance of whole muscle cuts. You're paying steak prices for reconstituted meat scraps that have been chemically bonded into steak shapes. A former district manager from their corporate office admitted that steaks are pre-cooked at a central facility in Nebraska, then frozen and shipped to restaurants nationwide. What you're eating isn't fresh grilled beef, it's reheated factory food with artificial grill marks added for presentation. Kitchen staff report the most shocking practice of all, being instructed to serve steaks that have been dropped on floors, following an unofficial 5-second rule policy during busy shifts. A former cook from Arizona shared that managers would say, "Rinse it off and keep going," when steaks hit contaminated kitchen floors. Health inspection violations at 47 Black Angus locations include improper meat storage, cross-contamination, and temperature abuse that creates dangerous bacterial growth. The next time you consider ordering their signature ribeye, remember you might be eating floor seasoning with your composite meat scraps.